NFL Super Wildcard weekend started today, and it opened up with the Las Vegas Raiders against the Cincinnati Bengals, and obviously it closed with an absolute beatdown that should have never been broadcasted on national television. And we're gonna go over both of these guys. Before we get to the content, just a reminder, we're giving away a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel $500. For those of you guys questioning the legitimacy of my giveaways, my man Malachi just won $500 just for being a follower on my Instagram, and we're running back that same giveaway. Any follower on my Instagram could win $500. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! I think we could all agree on one thing, and that's that traditional banks stink. They charge $35 in overdraft fees. They charge you fees for having a checking and a savings account. They don't give cash back on debit card purchases. Their apps are slow and clunky to use. They send you alerts in the mail, and they put you on hold for hours to talk to a human being, which is why I recommend Albert. Albert is completely different from any bank account that you've ever used. They are free to sign up with and super easy to use. Instead of just opening a traditional savings account and hoping that you put money into it, Albert looks at your income and expenses and sees what kind of money you can save. They will automatically move money into your savings account even if it's a few dollars at a time. Albert never charges overdraft fees ever. As a matter of fact, instead they'll spot you up to $250 whenever you need it. But most importantly, for me, you guys all know I'm a freaking dumbass, especially when it comes to managing my money, which is why Albert has something called Genius, which is a team of financial experts that will look at your situation, help you make a plan, and help you out whenever you get stuck. So click the link in the description box to download Albert today. For a limited time, when you open a checking account and submit a qualifying direct deposit, you'll get $150. Or just go to albert.com/microphone to open up your checking account, submit a qualifying direct deposit, and make yourself a free $150. And thank you, Albert, for the sponsorship. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? My absolute favorite part about the sport of football is the fact that anything could happen in this sport. I mean, literally, we saw the Indianapolis Colts last week lose to a 2-14 Jacksonville Jaguars team and miss the playoffs as a result of that. The Las Vegas Raiders then got into a very heated game versus the Los Angeles Chargers, where they decided to kick the game-winning field goal to advance themselves into the NFL playoffs and to kick the Chargers out of the NFL playoffs, whereas they could have kneeled the game away and both of the teams could have made it to the playoffs. We have our own separate video on that. Let's start with the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, young, up and coming, extremely exciting. I don't remember the last time I saw a pocket passer that was nearly as electric as Joe Burrow. I'm sure you guys have seen the meme where Cleveland Browns fans thought Baker Mayfield would be what Joe Burrow currently is, a swaggy underdog that won the Heisman and overcame the odds to become the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And not to hate on Baker Mayfield, but Joe Burrow absolutely delivered in this game versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, don't get me wrong, there were many mistakes by the Las Vegas Raiders. There was Peyton Barber for some reason saving the football and then running out at the 2-yard line as opposed to letting the ball go out of bounds. I don't know what was going through this guy's head. I mean, if you thought it was going to hit the end zone and it was going to be a touchback, then you let it become a touchback. If you thought the ball was going to go out of bounds, then you let the damn ball go out of bounds and you start at the 40-yard line. That would have legitimately gained you a touchdown, and we would be having a completely different conversation right here. But through it all, there were a ton of mental mistakes for the Las Vegas Raiders through this game, and a part of me felt like as a result of it, they didn't necessarily deserve to win. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some really good plays made by the Cincinnati Bengals. Earlier on in the game, Trey Hendrickson, a free agent acquisition that many of us were criticizing, by the way, forced an absolutely game-changing fumble on Derek Carr, and of course Alex Leatherwood looked like an absolute steaming pile of dog crap on national television. Ultimately, the Las Vegas Raiders did have one more chance to tie up the game and send it to overtime, but unfortunately Derek Carr threw an interception to end the game, which means for the first time in 30 years the Cincinnati Bengals finally won a playoff game, What are the takeaways from this? One, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to be a connection that we're going to be seeing a lot of over the next couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised if this team makes it all the way to the Super Bowl based off of the swaggy momentum that they brought over from LSU, and I'm only saying that because it's the NFL and absolutely anything could happen. But at the same time, I want to say the Las Vegas Raiders overcame so many obstacles to get here, from the Henry Ruggs incident to Jon Gruden's emails, which resulted in him resigning. I honestly think that this man should never see heaven after what he did to the offensive line of the Las Vegas Raiders. We actually are going to come out with a video of how horrible of a head coach or general manager, because Jon Gruden had full control of the Raiders when he originally took over. We have a whole video coming out on how terrible he truly was. But in the meantime, we actually have a TikTok series on Mikerophone NFL just starting out on how terrible Jon Gruden was. I mean, if there is one question that doesn't need answering in the offseason, at least in my opinion, is who should be the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders going forward, because the answer to that is clearly Rich Bisaccia. I mean, this is a guy that took over a team in the middle of the season that saw Henry Ruggs get into a car crash immediately after Jon Gruden resigned, and then a few days later, Damon Arnett, of course, decided to threaten someone with a weapon on his Instagram story, which resulted in him getting released. Through it all after their previous head coach resigned due to misogynistic and homophobic emails, and then after they decided to sign a wide receiver who literally praised Hitler a few years ago. This man brought the entire team together and was able to get them into the wild card. Obviously, it would have been nicer to see them go further, but I think Derek Carr and Rich Bisaccia is the future. I think they should possibly look into potentially replacing Mike Mayock, but we don't know how many of those horrible draft picks were as a result of Gruden or as a result of Mayock and Gruden. But all in all, it was a very promising season for the Las Vegas Raiders. They made it to the playoffs for the first time in 6 years, and after all the crap that happened to them this year, then I would say that's a W. Congratulations to the Bengals for moving on, and now we're moving on to the New England Patriots versus Buffalo Bills. Honestly, if this was a month ago or a month and a half ago, I'd say this game would have been significantly more captivating. Yes, I know we've seen these two face off against each other twice in this year, but Mac Jones was absolutely carving it up in November. The thing about the NFL is by the time it gets to December, you need to have a lot of momentum in order to be successful. And for some reason, for the New England Patriots, their momentum absolutely fizzled out. Mac Jones started making rookie mistakes. Their defense was suffocating, but not enough to overcompensate for Mac Jones's rookie mistakes. And there wasn't that much offensive momentum, as Mac Jones seemed to have been reduced to a dink and dunk quarterback. All in all, even though the New England Patriots didn't make it past the wild card round this year, they weren't supposed to be in the playoffs. They are significantly further ahead in their rebuild than most of us anticipated. Mac Jones probably gained some valuable experience through playing an away game in an absolutely frozen tundra against a really good team that most of us are predicting to make it to the AFC Championship. So I know a lot of New England Patriots fans are thinking, hey, we made a huge mistake and we should have held on to Tom Brady, but honestly, I don't think any mistake was made. I think Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. I think Mac Jones is a great quarterback for your future, and you guys just have to continue building your team, acquiring talent that buys into Bill Belichick's vision and the Patriot way. For the Buffalo Bills, they looked absolutely unstoppable. They were scoring touchdowns like they were the 2018 Kansas City Chiefs. There are times where the Buffalo Bills come out and just play very questionable offense when Josh Allen doesn't get hot. See the time that they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars as an example, but this wasn't one of those instances. Everyone from Josh Allen to Devin Singletary to their defense was absolutely clicking on all cylinders, and as a result, they were able to come out with a W. For the New England Patriots, I honestly would say that their season exceeded all of our expectations, except your typical hardcore New England Patriots fan, but honestly, in terms of comparing talent to one another, I'm not surprised that this was the result of the game. Tomorrow, we have a bunch of more games coming out, including my Dallas Cowboys facing off against the San Francisco 49ers, and I will admit I am terrified for that matchup, mainly because the Dallas Cowboys defense is looking good, but the Dallas Cowboys offense is currently going through what Mac Jones and the Patriots are going through. They kind of went cold in the month of December, and that's a cause for concern. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Kansas City Chiefs should be an interesting one. Will we see Ben Roethlisberger pull out a trick out of the bag right before the end of his career? Buccaneer. That's something else that we're going to keep an eye on. And of course, we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting us off tomorrow morning, which I think all of us are predicting the Buccaneers to win that one. But if you made it to the end of this video, give me your predictions for tomorrow's game in the comment section down below. I'll see you tomorrow morning for a crazy Deshaun Watson and Brian Flores trade update that I have for you guys that completely melted my mind. And of course, also for tomorrow night for another recap. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications if you enjoyed. And I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.